Good morning, Billy, and good morning to all our beloved friends out there in Radio Land. This is the Reverend Billy Ray Collins from the Sword of Joshua Independent Full Gospel Pentecostal Assembly just off State Road 23 on the Frontage Road. Well, friends, I had an awful sword fight with my wife the other night. Now, we didn't use actual swords, of course. We was wielding the sword of the Lord, in other words, the Bible. It all started on y'all's show the other day, as a matter of fact. One of the deacons come in talking about how y'all mentioned me on something called the classical skit of the day. Apparently some preacher wrote in on the Facebook and requested one of my old radio mini-sermons on the big show. At one point, he said something to the effect of, that feller preaches the truth in a way I wish I could sometime. I reckon y'all remember that.
Yes, sir.
Well, I come home that day, told Mama Collins all about it. I says, see, somebody likes my preacher. She says, oh, what kind of preacher fools at all that Facebook mess anyway? I said, well, honey, it's probably like when I go on that rock and roll show with all the secular music on it, he's reaching out to the unchurched like I do. As Nahum 1:15 says, look, there on the mountains, the feet of one who brings good news, who preaches peace. Mama says, well, now, you don't think too much of yourself, do you? Proverbs 27:2 says, let another man praise thee, and not thine own mouth, a stranger, and not thine own lips. And the sword fight was on. I come back at it with Ephesians 3:7. I became a servant of this gospel by the gift of God's grace given me through the working of his power.
That's good.
She says, 2 Corinthians 10:18. For it is not the one who commends himself who is approved, but the one whom the Lord recommends. Well, I got to tell you, my flesh got up a little bit at that point. I said, okay, Matthew 13:57. A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house. Oh, she didn't like that at all. She says, Romans 12:3. Do not think more highly of yourself than ye ought, but rather think of yourself with sober judgment in accordance with the measure of faith God has given you. I says, oh yeah? Well, Proverbs 27:15. A quarrelsome wife is like a constant dripping on a rainy day. She come right back at me. Isaiah 5:21. Woe to those who are wise in their own eyes and clever in their own sight. I says, oh, okay. Matthew 10:36. A man's enemies shall be those of his own household. She says, Proverbs 27:3. Stone is heavy and sand a burden, but provocation by a fool is heavier than both. I said, oh, you want to go to the books of wisdom on me? Well, how about Proverbs 21:9? It is better to live on the corner of the roof than share a house with a contentious woman. Oh, she flew hot. She says, Ecclesiastes 7:16. Do not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Why should you kill yourself? Now, if that sounds like a threat, it was. Mama's a big old gal, and I can tell you, she's prone to get a tad violent. So I says, oh, honey, Proverbs 31:29. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. I tell you, that Proverbs chapter 31 gets her every time. For the married folks in Radio Land, I highly recommend. Friends, our minds made up, but our doors wide open here at the Sword of Joshua Independent Full Gospel Pentecostal Assembly, just off State Road 23,
on the Frontage Road.
This is the Reverend Billy Ray Collins reminding you it's time to turn so you don't burn. John Boy and Billy,
Yes, sir.
y'all keep them straight up there.